Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Ma. This is the fourth week of the 2020 Halloween special. Um, just as a recap for anyone who might be watching this randomly in the future or who just somehow might have missed it, every week this month we have been doing a Saturday night reaction to a different horror movie, just as a way to celebrate Halloween this year. And I don't think I mentioned this before, but I do want to say real quick. The reason we are doing this, the reason we are, one of the big reasons at least, that we are doing this kind of Halloween special instead of just doing like one done, like we've done in past years, or like one movie, or like even one year we did the entirety of Stranger Things season two. Instead of just doing something even like that again, I chose to do a movie every week. One, as a way to catch up on some of these movies that I wanted to see for a while. But also, one of the big reasons was because of, well, 2020, what this year has been and everything. So I wanted to give you guys a little more as a way to just kind of have something fun, something exciting, something maybe a little ridiculous for this point of the year and everything. After everything that this year has put us through, it's just something positive to look forward to. So I want to give a little more because of that. Um, so I hope you guys have been enjoying these reactions. We continue today. Like I said, we're doing Ma, and this is a movie I believe is another Blumhouse film. Um, I know very little about it. I saw a trailer when it was first coming out, and I don't remember too much from it. But what I remember is that basically this woman is supposed to be like this kind of southern, like mother stereotype type of character, like, and she welcomes in these people. I don't know the situation behind it, but she ends up being like some kind of psycho murderer or something. And the horror from this is supposed to, again, from what I've seen, or what I might not even be fully accurate on all this, but from what I know and remember and think I know, the horror is supposed to more center around like the idea of being trapped somewhere with someone who is clearly unhinged. The idea of uncertainty and lack of safety. Um, Not quite in the same way that like movies like Get Out do it, because Get Out has a lot of separate mystery and weird shit going on too. It's a different kind of thing. Um, but yeah. I don't know much about the story. I don't know much about any characters or whatnot. I don't even know how this film did. I don't know if it was popular. I don't know if people really liked it. That we're gonna kind of have to see kind of as we go. Um, so far though, these movies have been getting better each week. It seems, with A Quiet Place definitely being the highlight of this Halloween special so far. Now I don't know if that will continue. I would hope so, but we'll have to see. Because remember, we did start this off with a Blumhouse film too, with Truth or Dare. So Blumhouse is one of those that can go either way. I'm hoping it's good though. I'm hoping it's good. I've heard a lot about it in terms of like, just when it was coming out, but since then have really not heard a lot. Which I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but we'll we'll have to find out. Um, Because there's been plenty of movies and shows and stuff that it's like, oh yeah, they get a lot of hype when they're first coming out, but then they just kind of drop off the face of the earth and just aren't talked about anymore. Um, I'm very, very excited to see what this is about. Hoping it's good. Hoping it's even better than A Quiet Place. But even if it's not, I'm at least hoping it's good. Um, as I said, I know very little about it, so I don't really have a lot of expectations. The actress who's kind of the star of it, I guess you could say, because she's the Ma in it. I've seen her in other things. I just can't think of what at the moment, but I've definitely seen her in other things. And she's a good actress, so I definitely have faith in that. I don't know who else is in this though. I don't know if there's any other notable names or if they're more like newer actors who are more making their name or just ones I don't know. Could be any of the above. So it's hard to say. Um, I have no real thoughts on that or anything. We'll just have to see. But I'm interested. I've seen these kinds of horror films before, and they can be pretty good if done right. So let's just get this started and hope for the best with our fourth week of the Halloween 2020 special. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I looked up the two actresses I was talking about seemed familiar to me. First off, Mercedes actress is Missy Pyle, and I know her mainly from two films. There is the 2002 Home Alone 4 movie, in which she was one of the bad guys. I remember her from that. Where's the other one? And crap, I lost it. I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, that's what it was. She's also in the 2005 Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as Mrs. Beauregard. Um, those are the only two roles I really know her from. There's other movies she's been in, including maybe a couple I have seen. I just don't recognize her from them. But then there was McKaylee Miller, who was Haley. She was the friend who I was saying the entire movie pretty much I thought sounded really familiar. I think who I thought she sounded a little bit like AJ Machalka, um, Katra from She-Ra, and Stevani from Steven Universe. She sounded a little bit like her. The funny thing is, I don't know her from anything. I've looked up her stuff, and it's like she's been in a couple things I've heard of, but nothing I would actually know her from, or definitely nothing I would recognize the voice from. Like the only thing I can say for certain that I would have seen her in was Wizards of Waverly Place. Um, but I don't even remember what her role in that really was. And again, there's like pretty much no voice roles, so it's like I don't know. I think it might have just been she sounds slightly like AJ Machalka. That's got to be the only thing. That's got to be it. Anyway, talking about this movie, this was not what I expected. Not what I expected at all. And that can be in both a good way and a bad way. So as I said in my pre-thoughts, I thought this was like about like obviously these teenagers like they get involved, they meet this like friendly southern lady and she turns out to be like a murderer. And that kind of happened, yes. But I wasn't like expecting like a lot of the backstory with her trauma and stuff. I wasn't expecting the entire party situation. That was really unexpected. Just in general, there's a lot that just kind of threw me for a loop. I was also expecting her to be more of a like actual like killer, like you would see in like in a slasher film or something. I didn't expect it to be like she was like this person who basically had just gone crazy from trauma and just kind of wanted companionship and love. Um, I didn't quite expect it to be like that, and just the way it was handled was so different than what I was thinking it was going to be. Um, so yeah, basically the gist of the story is that Sue Ann, as a teenager, was never the popular girl, but she had this opportunity to start partying with and hanging out with these kids who were more popular. However, a few of them got this idea to trick her. She had this thing for one of them, Ben, and they decided to trick her into thinking she was getting together with Ben, that there was going to be something there, and that they went into a dark classroom and she was supposedly giving him a blowjob, and then only found out after she left the classroom that it wasn't him and that they had tricked her to for the sole purpose of embarrassing her, of fucking with her. And the trauma from that stayed with her for her entire life to the point where she eventually became vengeful, among other things. Um, so let's talk about that backstory and why I think it both works and doesn't. The backstory was well thought out, and I feel like it had good potential. It definitely explains how she would have become traumatized from her childhood to become as crazy as she is currently. It definitely explains like why she is the way she is in the current day. But my issue with it is that it almost comes across as it's trying to excuse her actions in the current day. And as I said in the reaction, it's not an excuse. It doesn't excuse what she did. Now, mind you, it gives a reason, but it and you understand it, and you do feel, excuse me, and you do feel maybe a little sorry for her. I mean, I definitely felt sorry for her because I've been through shit like that. Not quite that bad, not quite that degree, but I- I've I've been through people fucking with me in high school. I've been there. I understand how horrible it can be. I understand how just traumatizing in a lot of ways it can be. So I get it. And I do sympathize with her because of that. But, like I said, it does not excuse her actions. Her actions are still wrong. They are still evil. They are still fucked up. And it's just like, I feel like the movie is almost trying to make you, like, feel, like, go too much into feeling bad for her, where you see her as a victim in the end. Like the way you see her at the end there, like getting into the bed with Ben's corpse and like cuddling with it, and you see her kiss his cheek and everything. It's like it almost comes across like it's trying to make you feel sorry for her, that like show like, oh, all she ever wanted was just love and everything, and it's like this wasn't her fault in the end. And it comes across that way, and it just feels really off. Like Joker handled this much better with giving us a character who is clearly evil, clearly wrong, not meant to be seen as the good guy, but still had a backstory that made you understand why he's like that without making you necessarily feel like you have to sympathize with him. The Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix did it so much better because it made it so that it was clear why he was the way he was by the end, but that you still weren't supposed to be on his side. You weren't supposed to side with him. You weren't supposed to agree with him necessarily. You weren't supposed to see him as the good guy. You were still supposed to see him as the bad guy. That was very much the intent there. And here it's a little more muddled. Um, so yeah, throughout the movie, the basic gist is Maggie is new to the town. She and her single mother had just arrived there after her father left them. Um, she starts to make new friends, gets a boyfriend, and just in general starts to make a life for herself there. When they end up meeting Ma, kind of by chance. She happens to be going to the store that they are the little like corner store that they're trying to get people to buy them beer from. Um, they manage to convince her, and by basically appealing to uh, her emotions from her past. Like we don't get that right away, obviously, but it's like once you have seen the movie, it's clear. Like, yeah, the reason she connected with them and bought them the beer and felt sorry for them was because of what happened to her in her past. She wanted them to kind of be able to have that fun and have that almost life that she didn't. But at the same time, you saw that like she called the cops on them while they were there, and she started looking into them, and you could tell like something's already off. Like even then, she was already off about it all. Part of it is also because she recognized the name on the van, which was Ben's name and everything, because Andy is Ben's son. So, um, but yeah, they start just using her for help with this over and over, and she eventually has them go to her house to party as like kind of this safe place rather than just partying anywhere and driving off anywhere and everything. And eventually it gets to be a very popular spot amongst the teenagers at the school for parties, just in general. And everything just progressively gets more and more creepy. And I think that's one of the points where this movie does shine. It takes its time and doesn't rush anything. This movie could have very easily rushed things, made her seem a lot more unhinged right from the start, and Octavia Spencer could have pulled it off beautifully. But I actually like the way that they did this, making her just seem kind of creepy, almost like a stalker at first, which is still bad, mind you. But they just, I was thinking as I was watching, I even said it, like, okay, this doesn't actually seem as bad as I thought it was going to be. She's just kind of a creepy stalker. But then it gets progressively more and more worse. And I think really the turning point was when she hit Mercedes. When she ran down Mercedes like she did, that was the single moment that everything turned. That she started being more aggressive, started being more psychotic. It's like she broke at that point. Um, but there's all these little things sprinkled throughout you see, and you're starting to wonder about it, you're starting to think about it. And hell, when you find out about her daughter and everything, it's like that part really kind of throws you off, because it's like, wait, she's had a daughter all this time, that's who she was hiding up there, because it's very clear before that she's hiding someone upstairs, and you're like just trying to figure out who it could be. And then it's just, okay, she has a daughter, it's just her daughter, and she's up there apparently because she's sick. And it seems like that was the case. It doesn't seem like she was lying about her sickness necessarily. But it also seems like she had become so overprotective because of what happened to her. And that's why she was keeping her home even though she was getting better. She didn't want her daughter to be possibly subject to the same shit that she went through. And on top of that, she she was definitely um trying to like make sure that no one did anything. And once things started going off, once things started going crazy, it's like you could see the daughter wasn't happy. So once you saw her strike back at the end, it's like it felt like it was properly built up. It felt like it made sense. But at the same time, it's like this is another case where the movie tries to really make you care for her character. Because it's like you see that she has this daughter, she's being overprotective because of what she went through. And it's like, I get what it's doing. I do. This is a thing that can happen in real life. a honestly, this was a very realistic horror movie, which almost in a lot of ways makes it scarier because this kind of thing could very much happen. People suffer trauma all the time, and there's a lot of people whose trauma drives them to do bad things. And again, that's still on them, and they're still wrong and bad for doing them. But yeah, it's kind of insane to think about. It's crazy. Um, and it's made clear throughout this that it's like even into their adulthood and stuff, a couple of these characters really haven't changed much. Mercedes is a bitch. Ben is a fucking asshole. And it's just like you understand where she's coming from. And again, I feel like it's trying a little too hard though. Like you can give her this backstory where you like make it so it's understood like yeah, she was traumatized, she was treated like shit, and it kind of made her go insane without just really nailing it in that hard. I feel like it just kind of is unnecessary to really hit it in the head that hard. Um, Once it really kicked off, though, it kicked off. Like the shit she was doing, like ironing the one guy's stomach, stitching Haley's mouth together. That shit like bothers the shit out of me. Nearly hanging Maggie and everything, and it's just like the one guy got off lucky, all things considered. Like, he just got paint on his face, although clearly that was fucked up too in a lot of ways, considering it was white paint and everything. And she was trying to emulate a picture and everything, but still not okay. Um, and it's just like I think this movie really hinged mostly on the acting because all the actors did great. Octavia Spencer, let's be honest, she owned this. But Octavia Spencer, she's a fantastic actor in general, so yeah, of course she's going to own this. Um, she owned the role though. She really made it work. And the other actors and actresses were great too. Like I really don't have any real issues with any of them. Um, None of them felt too forced. None of them felt off. None of them, like, not too many of them really blew me away or anything, but none of them were bad. Um, Not really too much else to say. Like I like the progression of the creepiness. The sound design was all fine and all good, well and dandy. I like the just how it was paced well. The writing was good, save for the issues they had with trying to make the character a little too sympathetic. Trying to like it seriously just tried to make her out to be too much of the victim rather than the bad guy in this because she was the bad guy in this movie. So it's just like it was going a little too far with it. I'm not going to I can't see that any other way. Um, but yeah, it's just it definitely wasn't what I was expecting. I would not say it was as good as A Quiet Place by any means. Um, I think I like The Purge better too, personally. I just liked. I feel like I like the concept better and everything, and the execution of the concept as well. Um, but yeah, it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't bad. It wasn't the best Blumhouse film. Not obviously not on the level of Happy Death Day. Um, it had a couple issues, but they weren't enough to really kill the movie for me. It was still enjoyable. It was still fun to watch. It was really interesting to learn more and more as the movie went on, and for certain things from before to actually get explained because of that. Like just once you start to see her backstory, everything kind of starts falling into place. Um, so yeah, it was it was an interesting film. It was definitely interesting. But anyways, so that was our fourth week for the 2020 Halloween special. Next week is the last Saturday in October, so it's our last week for the special. And since next week is Halloween itself, next Saturday's Halloween special reaction is, of course, Halloween, the 2018 Halloween movie specifically. Um, Obviously, I'll talk more about that when we get to that. Um, but I will say just right here, um, I have high hopes for this one. This one I actually do have some high hopes for. Um, I'll talk more about it then, but in the meantime, tell me what you thought of Ma. What did you think of the acting, the story, the backstories, and everything? Also, what did you think of the horror aspect of it? Because it's not quite horror in the way you might think. Like, you could kind of maybe consider it psychological horror, but even so, it's not like as. I would consider it more of a thriller, honestly. But tell me what you thought. Either way. In the meantime, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.